Thank you, Diane, for your wonderful effort in chairing the session. And now I would like to take the privilege of inviting Monica Bradley, Managing Director, Purposeful Capital. Monica is an experienced non-executive director who holds board with Talent Marketplace, Benchon, Queensland University of Technology, and Queensland Container Exchange, and is on the investment committee for the $80 million Queensland Business Development Venture Fund. In her executive career, Monica held leadership and advisory roles in New York, Abu Dhabi, and Sydney across diverse domains of agricultural trade, logistics, energy, and sovereign wealth funds and public sector reform. She is a respected advocate for founders, innovation, women, and impact-led ventures nationally. Her expertise in investment, go-to-market strategy, and enterprise sales, coupled with her extensive global network, provide practical support that adds value and expedites traction for Australian venture. Monica has impeccable relationships and draws on her networks to connect the capital, technology, talent, and customers, which enables growth of sustainable global ventures. Welcome, Monica. Over to you.
Thank you, Fazi. And I'm beyond excited to be here today, celebrating hydrogen, celebrating Australia's new hot breakthrough industry and creating the jobs of the future alongside these remarkable founders and entrepreneurs and particularly funders. And from the outset, I'd really like to acknowledge the wonderful support that we've received today, but specifically in this session from the Providence Group. Providence is really a great Australian funding company that runs early stage seed investments and venture capital in deep tech with a specific interest in clean. And they're really leading the way with working in partnership with our universities and our academics to really get those early stage and seed ventures into a minimal viable product, which, as we all know, is really the important thing to market. Personally, I'm someone who has a very short attention span, but a very big ambition. And that's why my CV looks a little like that. And so I come in and out of the Australian industry here because we're not here for a long game. We're really here to get things done. And I think hydrogen has been with us time immemorial, but now is our time. And if I can pledge anything, it is today. Let's get out of here and take action. Let's connect the funding with the ventures. Let's get our universities collaborating together, and let's find customers and corporates that want to play in this quite traditional energy source applied in new and innovative ways that is really going to create great jobs. So the first thing I'd like to do is also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I meet and pay my respects to the lands of our unceded lands of Australia, where all of us are meeting today. The Indigenous people of Australia are really the first innovators, and it is upon their knowledge and their wonderful craft and deep cultural practices on this great country that we all stand and we can innovate today. And it's an important fact to acknowledge, but also to include. And I look forward to our new industries really working inclusively to bring everyone to the table in how we develop these very clean, very contemporary technologies. So today we have 5 remarkable startups that have pitched. The judges have come together. We've had a bit of a look at your presentations. We've read your packs. And now we can share with the rest of our audience the remarkable work that you're doing in this space. So it's not easy being an innovator. I really thank all of you for participating in the process. And I'd like to acknowledge the 5 finalists that we'll hear from today. The process for today is we've got a lovely panel I'll introduce that'll help us judge shortly. And then we'll have each of the 5 finalists. We'll play a video that explains a little bit about the technology. We'll then bring them into the chat room and we'll have some live questions from our wonderful judges for 5 minutes, and then we'll go on to the next one. So we'll work pretty quickly through the process. The judges will then confer while you have your last keynote speech, and we'll come back at the end before the closing comments to let you know who out of the startups that we've selected as a winner. Thank you very much again for everyone for coming today, and let's get the process started. So first of all, let's acknowledge the 5 remarkable young companies that are joining us today. We've got Vertius Energy, we've got 9 Tech Solutions, we have Low Impact Technologies, we have Wildfire Energy, and we have Macro Data Viz. There's a great variety there also of male and female founders, young and old founders, and there's a nice diversity across Australia. So it's good to see hydrogen is really an inclusive and also a nation building project. Now, you can't do these things alone, and it's so important, as we heard in the last session and a few of the sessions today, that we work really collaboratively together. And I couldn't think of three better people to help us work through the judging and working with these great young technology companies today than our judging panel. You've already heard from a few of them today in the processes. So let me just give you a little bit of the depth of the talents that we have here today. A fellow Queenslander, something very close to our heart. And our first judge is Trevor Holmes, who's the Managing Director of Advio Innovation. And Trevor has a really long history. It's not that he's old, he's just very experienced. He's got about 20 years experience where he's really worked always entrepreneurially at the intersection of strategy, finance, and how to drive real business growth out of businesses. And he's done that from a private equity perspective, also as a founder himself, and also in the turnaround and transformation space. Exactly the skill sets we need for this economy. So he's worked all the way through from startup to scale up, to private equity, to sale, to exit, and then turnaround. It's a really good skill set. So young companies out there, look for people like Trevor. They're exactly the sort of people you need on your boards, you need on your angel investment table, because they bring skills plus money. And that's a real investment to getting us up and going. Most recently, Trevor really has become the scientist of disruption. You know, he saw those trends coming early, and he spent some time with probably the professor of disruption from Harvard University, Clayton Christensen. And then on the back of that, Trevor has formed a remarkable international network called Advio, where really it's an international network of practitioners specializing in the disruption and innovation space that collaboratively work together, sharing both information, problem-solving techniques and solutions. Again, another key to the new economy is collaboration. And Trevor has it in spades, and we're really proud, and I welcome you here today, Trevor. Thanks for joining us. Secondly, joining us is another real legend of the Australian venture capital industry, and that's Main Sequence Ventures. You know, bless their souls, Main Sequence are there with deep money to invest in this great new deep technologies that we see. In my role on the investment panel at the Queensland Business Development Fund, we see a lot of Main Sequence, which means they're putting money into Queensland to build great companies like Emerson and Maxwell MRI that are doing great things with data, LiDAR, and deep tech. So it's really good to see Martin Dersma here with us today. And Martin's a partner with Main Sequence Ventures, but he has a really deep experience both here and in the US. He's worked really at the forefront of globally, but particularly in the US with Citrix, of enterprise technology and how you apply and extract enterprise technology globally. So that experience when you're building out deep tech is remarkable, because again, a lot of the deep tech will end up inside of enterprise plays. So we need to get out of the garage, and we need to get into business models, efficiency models, and go-to-market strategic partnerships that help us break through those. So Martin's going to be remarkably helpful for us on that today. He brings all that great technology and all that experience in the US and here. We're so excited to have him here in Australia. He continues on with, he's got lots of academic qualifications as well, but his most important thing is he's got money and he knows how to spend it. So welcome today, Martin, and we're looking forward to having you on the panel. Last but not least is my Gold Coast buddy who actually calls Sydney home now, Sally Ann Williams. We've known Sally for quite some time, and we used to know her as the Google girl. So I used to say, no, my little device doesn't say, hey, Google, I say, hey, Sally. For years, Sally, for the last 20 years, Sally's been really helping all of us, but particularly our female entrepreneurs and really young entrepreneurs in school to really drive the fact that technology is agnostic to our gender and to our race, and really help us build a very inclusive area, but at the same time build remarkable tech. She did that in spades when she was with Google, where she really built out a program of STEM into schools that was remarkable. She's now taken on the job at Cicada, probably one of our preeminent deep tech, maybe the most preeminent deep tech accelerator we have here in Australia. It's a remarkable place. If you haven't been to it, next time you're in Sydney, post-COVID, get in and have a look. So Cicada is remarkable in that it's leading us across sort of med tech, health tech, ag tech, food tech, clean tech, AI, and Industry 4.0. They bring companies through a very nurturing process, but they really push them hard. They bring investment capital to the play through their relationships. And out the door of Cicada, we're really seeing some remarkable Australian companies that are creating the jobs of the future. So without further ado, thank you so much for joining us today, Sally Ann. Okay, are we ready? I can see the nervous faces of our lovely contestants. So thanks for joining us here today. They're in our room here. So the first I'd like to introduce our first finalist is our friends from, the one we've seen all afternoon this afternoon, our wonderful host, Diane Hinson. Diane is the founder and CEO of Virtus Energy, along with her co-founder, which I will find here, Rob Lully. So you've heard a lot from Diane this afternoon in her capacity as the host and, if you like, an advocate and champion for hydrogen. But let's give you a little bit of her background. Diane is a chemical engineer in her background with 20 years experience in the oil, gas, refining, petrochemicals, and chemical industries. She's got a proven track record in leadership positions, that she's done project delivery, operations, process optimization, business improvement, and risk management areas, in particular with the Australian Pacific LNG mega project for Origin Energy. She's founded many successful projects and initiatives within Origin Energy as an entrepreneur. And this is maybe her one of her first, is it? Examples of her being an entrepreneur. So we're excited to see the step out. Joining Diane in the business is Rob Lully. He's the Director of Compliance and Government Relations within Virtus Energy. And Rob is an environmental industry leader, again with 20 years experience in environmental management projects across Australia, Canada, and the US. He's specialising in technical leadership of large multidisciplinary teams in large energy and resource projects. Really good experience, but as you're scaling, you need to know how the scale customers are thinking. Rob has supervised numerous projects across the environment, health, safety, and risk throughout functions in various phases of development. Rob's contributed to strategic business transformation decisions, improved performance through initiatives, and removed barriers and admin burdens, we love those, to succeed where prioritising projects and social outcomes. Don't forget, we're here to produce not just great tech, but great jobs, great environments, and a great place for us and our fellow citizens to live on. So without further ado, let's have a look at the presentation from our friends at Virtus Energy.
In my spare time, I run an e-commerce business, and actually this is where the idea came up, because I realized that I was dealing with a lot of this plastic, drowning in it literally. So I decided, well, so much plastic, we need to do something about it.
I spent the last 20 years working in the technology development and commercialisation sector. I've worked in the consulting space. I've seen a number of successes and failures in the technology development space. My aim is to bring that knowledge and experience to Virtus Energy to assist them to bring this technology and product to market.
My background is environmental management, taking a problem and solving another problem. There's no better, project that I can think of that is making that kind of difference from an environmental perspective.
We have a wonderful idea, and this has been a year in the making between Di, Steve, and myself. And we're looking at taking, end-of-life plastics, hard to recycle plastics, to a new energy source. Hydrogen. There's a lot of excitement around hydrogen, and we think that we have the team, the ability, and the solution to move from plastics to hydrogen.
The gasification process converts the carbon and hydrogen into what we call a syngas, which is a mixture of carbon oxides and hydrogen, which we can then increase the hydrogen from. By tuning the gasification process, we can probably reduce the CO2, reduce the CO2 that's emitted as part of that process, and convert that carbon that's embedded in the plastic into carbon. which of course is a much higher value product. And so the objective of this exercise is to, if you like, tune the process or processes that are involved in gasification and producing hydrogen in such a way that we maximize the hydrogen yield and minimize the CO2.
So this here is a high-level financial analysis pre-feasibility of the process economics. And what we can see here is that the IRRs at 7 and 20 are quite positive.
What I think is really interesting about this project is it becomes part of the waste to energy mix. And depending on where a plant is located, it may alter, it helps to shape its value to community in terms of, plastic waste reduction, hydrogen for industry, and community.
Great. Thank you very much. And hopefully with the wonders of Zoom, we'll have the founding team in the room. Can I get you to give a wave? Okay, I can see Diane. Excellent. Well done. Trevor, they showed some pretty good IRRs on that. Do you want to hit them up with a few questions around the viability?
Yeah. In relation to that, Diane, could you just tell me, there seems to be two markets that you're in, the waste and the production of hydrogen. What do you think is the primary role of your organisation, Viridius? What is the primary market?
Thanks for this, Trevor. Definitely the primary market here is around the waste side. That is the burning platform right here, right now, given the China sword ban impact, as well as the coag bans that are coming up. I've been working with our waste supplier and, talking through many stakeholders in the waste industry. It's been identified that they lack the infrastructure to deal with the highly commingled, highly contaminated waste, and so they've got no choice but to landfill it. And it's actually quite surprising, like the type of waste that does end up in landfill. It's waste that we wouldn't have thought of. Apart from your municipal waste in the recycling bins, there is, from commercial and industrial sectors where there is, medical waste contaminated, medical waste that's even not open but expired and gets thrown away. Shredder flock from, automotives being shredded. It's that sort of market that really needs a solution. And with the gate fees as well in Victoria and in New South Wales being quite expensive, I think if you add the total cost, it's up around the 400 mark. Landfill, this offtake.
Sorry, Diane, I'm conscious we've got really limited time today.
Oh, sorry.
So can we, and I think Trevor had a follow-up question and he was asking, you were talking about two, the primary is now the waste. Tell us maybe a little bit about the hydrogen model. Yes, hydrogen, we're looking to niche that one. And because we have connections in the waste industry, we're wanting to onboard and identify the high use cases of where there's energy intensive users. And all of that work is going to take place when we run the feasibility, where we're actually going to go out there and, with our waste suppliers and onboard. So that's our niche.
I think the key for us is to close the loop. So basically taking those waste and finding energy uses within the waste industry to kick us off early in the hydrogen business. And I think that's the key point for us, find those high use energy uses in the waste industry. Okay then.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you very much. I know we've got more questions, but the timing is kind of, we're trying to keep it snappy today. Thank you very much. You gave us some great information also in your packs. So we'll look forward to reading that. Can you put your hands together today for thank you very much for Virtus Energy.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Coming up now is our second contestant, which is either a husband and wife or a brother and sister. We have Kent and Jayden Ramsey, and they're the founders of 9Tech Solutions. Kent has 25 years experience in oil and gas, ranging from subsea all the way through technical project management. Kent's a chartered professional engineer with both detailed technical engineering capability coupled with project management and delivery. During his career, Kent added postdocs in oil, gas engineering and technical electronics, and is currently pursuing, because he just can't get enough education, a Masters of Business Administration. Jayden is the co-founder of Tech9 Solutions and has a degree in chemistry, currently studying Masters in Renewable and Sustainable Energy with experience in chemical analysis and research. He has a passion for sustainable energy and applying his skill set in the development of emerging hydrogen technologies. So together, Jayden and Kent founded 9Tech Solutions, focusing on energy conservation and sustainability, developing their own hydrogen chemical storage technology. The NETAS, Attrium, and which is trademarked, hydrogen, which they were very good in their presentation, without a price on carbon. So that's a remarkable achievement. So without further ado, let's hear from, and I'm terribly sorry, the father and son team. That is 9Tech Solutions.
Hi, I'm Ken, mechanical engineer and founder of 9Tech Solutions. At 9Tech Solutions, we are a startup based in Perth, Western Australia, developing our own hydrogen battery energy storage system, H2BESS for short, which utilises green hydrogen as a liquid fuel supplement to fossil fuels, without requiring a price on carbon.
I'm Jayden, industrial chemist and co-founder of 9Tech Solutions. We do this with our NETAS Attrium modules by creating an alternative energy model for the implementation of green hydrogen using renewable energy. Having today's low-cost intermittent renewables, we can create hydrogen economically by taking a holistic approach to the hydrogen economy. We can facilitate the rapid uptake of fuel cell electric vehicles and accelerate the further uptake of wind and solar energy.
NETAS Attrium stands for Null Emissions Technology, Applied Systems, and Attrium is Latin for battery. They are high systems efficiency liquid H2BESS modules that provide a solution to the chicken or egg paradigm surrounding fuel cell electric vehicle uptake in the traditional hydrogen model. Each module is the equivalent of 42 Tesla Powerwalls, providing deep capacity storage and acting as dispatchable load, with the ability to supply energy over several days of inclement weather.
With our NETAS Attrium modules, boil-off is no longer an issue, allowing us to provide a safer and more energy-dense alternative to high-pressure hydrogen storage. This eliminates the need for the service station model, improving both the gravimetric and volumetric energy density of hydrogen. The 9Tech model mitigates several cost structures associated with the wholesaling, distribution, retailing, and reducing the taxes associated with the existing energy model.
Analogous to a combined heat and power station, rather than an open cycle gas turbine, the captured thermal energy streams are used by these modules for applications in heating and cooling. By monetising the thermals, improves the overall system's efficiency. This cannot be achieved easily at the industrial scale without close proximity to the end point of use. Doing so allows for the improved economic viability of hydrogen as a supplement to fossil fuels.
At scale, these modules change the nature of the grid, from a demand-driven supply responding system to a supply-driven demand responding system. This will be critical. By creating large phase shift between generation and demand, enhances grid stability and facilitates deep penetration of renewables.
With our modules, we are seeking to demonstrate a total system solution and establish a consumer market for hydrogen without a price on carbon. We are seeking to do this via the FarmAg demonstration trial. We are looking to align with private equity, willing to join the journey in delivering decarbonised energy today. With low-cost renewables at the pricing points they are at, the time for green hydrogen is now. With high systems efficiency and low-cost renewable energy, green hydrogen can be commercial. Intermittency of renewable energy can be managed.
With the NETAS Attrium FarmAg demonstration trials, and with your assistance, let's commercialise a green hydrogen future today.
Bravo, well done. Martin, why don't you lead us off in this deep tech?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Monica. I love the passion from you guys. Awesome. Fantastic to see that. And you obviously believe in it. I really like the area that you're tackling because local consumption on-site consumption of hydrogen, I think, is a key step. And I think you guys are looking pretty innovative in your business model. You're trying to cut out all these other steps. So that's fantastic. So I've got two questions for you guys. Question one is, can you talk about what your key IP is? It wasn't quite clear what sort of the key innovation in your system is. And the second question, have a think about as well, is it seems like you're wanting to target the agricultural sector and farmers initially. And I've seen a number of other companies that have tried to tackle that as a sector, and farmers are very conservative. They're very hard to convince to buy stuff. So like, how are you going to convince them to buy your solution? So they were the two questions.
No worries. I suppose touching on the second question first on the ag sector, there are key advantages. I recognise it's a very conservative industry.
Can you speak up a bit louder? We're having trouble hearing you guys.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yep. No worries. It's a very conservative market sector. I'd certainly agree with that. The advantage is it gets around the chicken and egg paradigm, which hydrogen's traditionally come up against and will continue to come up against in what comes first. The trucks without the infrastructure, or the infrastructure, refueling infrastructure and trucks, for example, if you look at the service station type model. The agricultural industry in key locations, it's geographically set. So you don't have the chicken and egg paradigm. And we're putting together effectively a system that goes from renewable energy right through end energy consumption and ultimately recovery of the water at the end of the process. So it's a complete system offering, and utilising the low-cost renewable energy, which is currently available at pricing points that you can actually get the economics to stack up as long as you monetize the thermal streams. So it's that complete package.
Just on your question regarding IP, we're currently pursuing several IP regarding the general process, and as well as process-specific componentry to deal specific to, say, the liquefaction process that we're pursuing. And we also do things a little bit differently with how we're actually utilising the PEM, because we are utilising green hydrogen and then liquefying it at the point of use where we can monetize the thermal streams that you can't otherwise be able to do at the industrial scale economically. And so we are currently pursuing those IP areas. We would agree, yeah, farmers are indeed very conservative. And so our focus throughout the whole process has been, why is a farmer, for instance, going to buy a NETAS Ultilium module? Their business model is strictly farming. And so we have to, with the Farm Ag demonstration trial, although we are developing the NETAS Ultilium modules as a hydrogen battery energy storage system, the Farm Ag demonstration trial is a means by which we can actually demonstrate that technology, as well as establishing a market for hydrogen in the agricultural sector. What that means is we're also developing a hydrogen fuel cell electric tractor as part of the demonstration, and the subsequent solar array to be able to supply the electricity for the NETAS Ultilium modules as part of a total system solution that we can demonstrate for farmers. Because at the end of the day, we're competing against diesel effectively, and farmers already have pre-existing technology that they're quite happy to use at the moment. And so you've got to beat effectively diesel purely on price. When it comes to farmers, it's got to be price competitive, it's got to be cheaper, otherwise it's not really worth them pursuing necessarily.
Which is that strong value proposition. Why is a farmer going to want to go hydrogen? And it's not solely, as far as environmental. Yes, that's an added sweetener, but at the end of the day, it's just got to make commercial sense. And that's the financial value proposition that we can put together in that package by monetizing the thermals and having a complete end solution that the farmers can utilize. Otherwise, there really isn't a market for hydrogen. Yes, a lot is manufactured and used, but they're in very specific processes. The market really is quite lacking in that regard. So that's why we're looking at the Farm Ag trial. The amount of diesel that they get through was another reason. You can amortize a lot more capex because of the sheer volume of diesel that they burn per machine in that
Great.
regard. That answers your question.
Yep, that's great. Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you, guys.
Bravo and welcome. Great to see you guys out in Perth. And it sounds like something to be really aligned with Cicada's stuff, right? Deep tech and ag. We love it. And let's get rid of those subsidies that are on diesel, and maybe we'd be more competitive faster, right?
Exactly.
Don't tell the farmers I said that.
That would be a nice equivalent of a car.
They'll run me out of town. Okay, excellent. Well done. Thank you very much, guys. That was an awesome presentation. Coming up next, we've got the Low Impact Technologies Group. And the founder of that is a great entrepreneur called Nick Probert. And Nick holds a master's in entrepreneurship and innovation from Swinburne, great Australian university. He moved to the UK in 2011 and he's established a consulting services company specialising in capitalisation, commercialisation and market development of innovative products, services and projects across a whole bunch of sectors: hygiene, logistics, B2B and retail markets in both Australia, the US and in the UK. So small job there, guys. Are tackling really good pain points. Nick gained significant experience working there for 8 years with a focus on composite plastics industry, where he assisted in business development for recycling polymers and composite railway sleepers and temporary access solution manufacturing businesses. Great pain points. So without further ado, let's hear from Nick and Low Impact Technologies.
Hi ladies and gents, and thank you kindly for taking the time to be part of the H2 Virtual Startup Summit. I'm very excited to present a brief outline of our opportunity to you today. The Australian government has proposed a massive challenge, and that is to get hydrogen produced at under $2 per kilo. There are many countries today with capabilities to produce hydrogen from varying sources. However, currently this is not produced cost effectively without environmental cost. But this looks to be changing. With the vast solar resource available in our great southern land and advances in technology, green energy costs are looking to continue to decrease, which is hopefully a tick in the box. The electrolysis process is mature, but advances are still being made. Yet another tick. Hydrogen can be stored, yet it is difficult and costly to do so, and because of its inherent nature, it is also difficult to transport currently in cost-efficient volumes. Whilst there is a huge amount of work being completed in this space, we believe there is also another factor that may be overlooked, and that is, where is the pure water going to come from? This is what we at LIT have been working on. LIT is the exclusive licensee to D&D's robust and simple to operate concentrated solar multi-effect distillation technologies. It can handle virtually any input streams such as seawater, inland saline water, mine tailings, frack water, hypersaline brine discharge from reverse osmosis, as well as agricultural, industrial and residential effluents or process water. The first scaled test units were built in 2015. Testing of these units produced 312 litres of distillate per hour at only 12 parts per million, from contaminated fracking water, which was over 217,000 parts per million. In 2019, D&D licensed and is to be the major shareholder in LIT. The first of 4 full-scale units was commissioned in Florida this year. They are just under 300 square metres of aperture and produce 30,000 litres of distillate in a 10-hour day. We have identified 5 verticals where our units can be used: in mining, industry, agriculture, utilities, and green hydrogen processing, which fits across this board. Now, what does this mean to the hydrogen industry? Well, every industry we've identified uses water in one form or another and consumes energy for processing and producing products. In some instances, this water becomes contaminated and generally unusable. It is usually collected and stored in holding facilities to be cleaned, or just waits for the natural evaporative process to take place. We see this as an opportunity. LIT can provide the sustainable tech to produce distilled water on site that can then be used for hydrogen production. By having on-site localized hydrogen production capabilities, utilizing locally available resources and supplying energy directly to site, we are not only able to eliminate the transport and extended storage issues, but we're also utilizing water that is not usable for anything else, thus reducing the load on the generally stressed freshwater supply chain. One of our units can provide enough distillate daily to produce around 3,500 kilos of hydrogen. A quick overview of our brilliant team skill set and experience include chemical and mechanical engineering, new business startup and growth experience, as well as capital raising and solid corporate governance based on a strong foundation of environmental consciousness. We are very much hoping to add to the expertise of our current investors and would look forward to discussing this opportunity with any interested parties over the rest of the H2 Forum and perhaps in the coming days. Thank you kindly for your time. It's been an honour to present and we look forward to any questions that arise.
Well done, Nick. Congratulations to you and your good wife. I knew I had some wife team somewhere. Sorry, I put on the other one. Sally Ann,
It's my mother, sorry.
Is it your mum? Oh God. This
Yeah.
Zoom, I got to do better on my Zoom.
She'll be happy with that.
That's hilarious. Now we're turning into something that looks more like Saturday Night Live. Okay. Sally Ann, do you want to lead us off on these?
I'm not quite sure where to go from that one, but I'll give it a shot. So thanks for that, Nick. That was really interesting. I've got a couple of questions for you because this seems like sometimes when I see a presentation like this, I'm like, it seems too good to be true. Like it seems like a really good fit. I'd love to if you could talk about two things. As your licensee, you've licensed this technology. Is that perpetual year on year? Like what's the time frame around that? And is that geographic? Is it, geo-fenced in any particular way, or is it global license? And I guess the second sort of question that I have that I'm really interested in is, you're in trial right now. What's the barrier to scale? It seems or to getting, that first paid customer that you see right now. Because it seems like you've got lots of verticals and hydrogen is one of those spaces that you can be, but there's lots of places where this technology might make sense. So I'd love to hear you sort of talk me through what that current challenge is and what your plan is to overcome it.
Okay, yeah, first of all, in regards to license, it is in perpetuity and it is global, excluding North America. Essentially, in return for that, we've given the inventor a major shareholding. And in regards to our verticals and our barriers, we decided for the old sort of term to chase water downhill. We went out to market and tried to identify where we could easily most get the soonest market penetration. And we actually identified the Australian mining space, that being that it's the most premier industry worldwide for implementing new technologies into their processes. And secondly, also, they utilise around 14% of Australia's annual water usage a year. And most of the mines in Australia are in fairly water-stressed areas and also with high solar. So what we've done is we've actually gone out and joined up with a mining services company, and we have 4 demonstration units going out to Australia where they're supposed to be out there now, but unfortunately due to what's happened we're a bit delayed, so it'll be started next year. And they're going to two tier 1 mining and 2 tier 2 mining codes. And essentially what we're working on first is working on the issue of cleaning up their dirty water and their acid mine drainage issues and tailings issues and things like that. And also being able to try and allow them to not utilise it as much water as they do currently on an annual basis and reuse that. But I suppose where we wanted to draw more on that was in regards to providing water for beneficial use. There's lots of communities around the areas. Mines don't last forever. And our thoughts were that we're actually producing distilled water, which is perfect for hydrogen. And how do you come about ensuring that there is going to be employment in these areas going forward? And you need water, you need energy, and you need food production. And hydrogen is such a fantastic, exciting opportunity. And it's been great that Australia's identified this. And we want to be part of that by allowing the input material from unusable sources to be utilised in that regard. And you can move on from not only providing fresh water, but you can also produce hydrogen from it, and then even look at producing ammonia, which can be used for fertiliser or transport if that's required. As we've been hearing today, that ammonia is a good way of transporting hydrogen. So in brief, that is where we're at.
Excellent. Anything from Trevor or Martin? You're on mute. I need a paddle that says that or a t-shirt. Trevor, you're on mute. You're on mute. Okay, he's done. Cool. Okay. Thank you, Nick. You got off without an extra question. Well done. And hi to your mum.
I'll pass it on. Thank you.
Tell her she's looking good. That was good. Excellent.
Yeah, she'll be very happy.
Well done. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Moving on to our fourth finalist today is Wildfire Energy, and the founder is Greg Perkins. Greg's the co-founder and MD, and Wildfire is an Australian clean technology company. It's developing MIGI-1 processing, and if I've got that acronym wrong, my apologies to every academic in Australia. And it's converting residual waste into products like energy, hydrogen, fuels, and chemistry. Wildfire's MIGI technology uses proprietary moving injection gasification concept within a batch reactor that makes distributed waste processing simple and economically attractive for the first time. Greg has degrees in science and mechanical engineering from Monash in Melbourne. He has a PhD in gasification from UNSW, and he has an MBA from the University of California, Los Angeles. Prior to co-founding Wildfire Energy, Greg spent 15 years in a variety of engineering, technology, and management roles with companies like Rio Tinto, Shell. And Greg is a volunteer as an adjunct professor in chemical engineering at the University of Queensland. Your time, over to you, Greg.
Introducing MIG waste to hydrogen technology. Today, waste is an untapped resource which is being dumped in landfills and emitting up to 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Conventional incinerators are unable to produce high-value products such as hydrogen. The MIG solution converts waste to hydrogen in modular plants located close to consumer demand. In gasification, waste is converted to syngas under controlled conditions. The syngas can be further converted using proven equipment to electricity, renewable syngas, biofuels, chemicals, and hydrogen. For the hydrogen economy to take off, low-cost and low-emission hydrogen must be available throughout the community. However, existing technologies all have limitations. High-temperature gasification is only economic for large project sizes. Fluidized bed gasification can only process pre-treated wastes, and fixed bed gasification is limited to biomass. Only the MIG technology is specifically engineered for converting wastes in small-scale distributed plants. The MIG solution is a three-step process. Wastes are loaded batch-wise into the proprietary MIG reactor, which is of a simple, robust, and low-cost design. The raw syngas is conditioned to remove tars, sulfur, and other contaminants using readily available commercial equipment. Hydrogen is separated and purified for end use. The key to the MIG technology is the slow movement of the gasification zone through the bed of waste, producing consistent, high-quality syngas. In commercial projects, two MIG reactors work in tandem. While the first reactor is operating to produce syngas, the second reactor is reloaded with waste. Continuous gas production occurs by alternating the sequence. The modular construction allows for quick and easy deployment. Various wastes can be processed: commercial and industrial, municipal solid waste, mixed plastics, agricultural and forestry wastes, and urban biomass. Hydrogen production can be matched to demand by adding more processing modules. Today, hydrogen from fossil fuels has high emissions. Applying carbon capture is expensive. And while renewables have zero emissions, they are also expensive. By avoiding landfill emissions, the MIG solution is carbon negative. With operators being paid to process the waste, the cost of hydrogen is below $2 per kilogram. Wildfire's MIG technology is a game changer for hydrogen production and is available today.
Well done, Greg. Can I just say, what a great presentation, lots of really good visuals. As someone that finds some of this complex technology hard to follow, that was a great way to explain technology using diagrams, so bravo. And could I ask Trevor maybe to lead us off?
Yes, I'm actually here now, Monica. I'm sorry about that. Guys, I'm really impressed with the business model. I think you've gone about this in a very, very clever way. But one of the things I'm really interested in is you claim to have developed some paid trials. Now, as much for the learning of others here, what was the catalyst for you to be able to not only get early adopters taking on your technology, but how did you actually convince them to hand over money to do that?
Look, that hasn't been quick. It's a great question, Trevor, because we knocked on all the waste companies and we found, you know, Jeff was saying the oil and gas companies are hard to deal with. The waste companies don't even really have an innovation team or an R&D budget. So we ended up having to go and find some niche markets, which we hadn't even thought about. So actually we've got some trials with water utilities. And we sort of realized they have some issues. Some of them is around PFAS. So they're interested in how could they potentially destroy PFAS in the biosolids that they have. And it's a disposal problem. So we are doing that, focusing on niche markets where you've got some pain points for customers, and then they're willing to pay money. But yes, the waste companies, where it is the long-term market, and even worse than that is, say, local governments, which control your municipal solid waste, they're impossible to enter. So we can't, you know, we're going to have to probably get 3 steps or 4 steps before we can go into municipal solid market, which is 50% of the global market. And that's where you really want to end up. But there's no chance to do that on day one. Yeah.
Terrific. I love the strategy. Just to follow on to that, do you have a strategy there to then convert those paid trials into long-term contracts?
Yeah, that's what I'm working on as hard as I can. And you know, it's always slow from the perspective of the startup because you know, we're dealing with a global recycling company as well. We've signed an MSA, but we're still, you know, working out. They've probably got another technology that they favour, but we're sort of, you know, it's a slow journey. What we've found, we're raising money now, and what we've found is we are finding some strategic investors, which I think is going to be great, which have also got, say, adjacent businesses or existing businesses with pain points, and then I think that'll come together quickly. So it may not be that our current sort of customers that we are trying to peddle as fast to get converted will be the first ones. And I would say that hydrogen won't be our first project either. That you know, you saw in our process, we can make electricity and even renewable syngas, which is even less demanding. But hydrogen is a nice sort of end goal or vision, coming back to sort of Sally Ann's sort of points earlier.
Nice realistic play there, Greg. Very good.
Well done. And if there's anything we can do to connect you, I'm on the board of the Container Deposit Scheme in Queensland. And as such, we actually contract with a lot of the waste companies. But we're also interested in obviously harvesting the PET. So if we can help you at all, reach out and let's that goes.
Yeah, I'd love to connect on that. Thank you.
Excellent. Well done. Sally Ann or Martin, anything to add? Anything to ask?
I just had one quick one. I love the fact that you seem to be versatile across a whole bunch of different waste streams in your presentation there, which is fantastic. A question for you, is the machine fundamentally, can it accept multiple waste streams, or do you need a different version of your machine depending on what waste stream?
We're designing it to take, you know, it's the idealistic thing that it will take anything and everything. The reality will be we're going to learn more about those limitations as we scale up. So we do actually have a plan to start with the easiest and transition. And you can also see from the business model, for example, we're sort of in our own project that we're developing more focused on commercial and demolition wood waste. So it's actually like basically biomass contaminated with some plastics. But you get paid the same amount of that for that material going to landfill as you would for municipal solid waste. But from a technical perspective, they're extremely different to process. So there are nuances in the market that I think can enable you to do those stepping stones.
Well done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Greg. Our fifth finalist, wrapping us up today, is Catherine Foster, and she is the Managing Director and CEO of Macro Data, here based in the Sunshine Coast of Queensland. Catherine, we know well as her background is with Microsoft. So we know that she knows how to manage very well multi-billion-dollar businesses and to grow them from very small into very global business networks. well over $1 billion. She's got extensive experience both in Australia and globally with technology and technology commercialization in both software and hardware. She has a new venture. This new venture on the Sunshine Coast is highly available and secure. Hyperscale data centers, macro data digital solutions, as well as a sister company, which we're going to hear about today, which is Macro Data Viz, a green energy company. Catherine's a non-executive director. She's very good in Queensland. She's helping a lot of young companies with that great pedigree of global experience, and she's helping them grow. She holds a Bachelor of Science in International Marketing from the Oregon State University and a Bachelor of Computer Science and Information Technology from Seattle. So joining us as our fifth contestant this afternoon, thank you, Catherine Foster.
Thank you, Monica. That was a great introduction. So I think you just play the video and I get to listen, right?
Absolutely.
Hello, this is Macro Data. I'm Catherine Foster, the CEO, and I am excited to spend the next couple of minutes telling you about our exciting opportunity. The Macrodata family is made up of two companies, Macrodata Digital Solutions, which is a hyperscale data center company, and Macrodata Viz, which is the power to high energy consuming businesses such as data centers. Macrodata Viz has three products. We've got Least Cost Power, which is an orchestration service using AI around when to capture, create, store, and sell energy in order to lower the total cost of power and maximize availability. We've got Solar Drive and Hydro Drive, which are the products around generating and creating energy. We'll spend most of our time talking about Hydro Drive, which is the massive megawatt solution. Hydro Drive uses solar to run water through a PEM, and the electrolysis process creates hydrogen and oxygen. We store the hydrogen for later use. We capture the oxygen for resale to lower the total cost of the energy. And when we do need to create energy, we use the hydrogen via a turbine or a fuel cell to create electricity. That least cost power is that brain behind the entire system as to when we take the action around generating, storing, and selling, as well as using the electricity. Macrodata Viz offers energy as a service. We capitalize the equipment and provide long-term power contracts to our customers. This guarantees a low cost of that energy over the lifetime of the contract itself. The current rate is 11 cents per kilowatt hour, and that cost can raise or lower based off of the configurations and how we orchestrate via least cost power. I'm really excited about the Macrodata Viz revenue opportunity. We're looking at 45 million in revenue in year 4. We're currently looking to raise 1.5 million to do the engineering and feasibility and design for the first 2 Macrodata hubs, as well as for the mining company that we're engaged with. We'd be happy to share detailed financial models and walk through our plans for anyone who's interested in investing. Macrodata is made up of a team of seasoned professionals that come from around the globe. I come from Microsoft, where I had P&L responsibility in the low to mid billions, and was also part of the team to help build the first Microsoft-owned data center. Steve and Andy come from a recent exit in an internet service provider business. We've got Yaron, who has experience building very technically complex green and smart buildings in Israel. We've got Dr. Neil Thompson, who's a member of the Hydrogen Council and our chief scientist. We've got Rain Drinkwater, who has helped develop and build multiple successful solar farms in Australia. Thank you for the opportunity and your time today to tell you a little bit about Macrodata Viz and the exciting opportunities that we're creating with hydrogen in the green energy space. Here's my contact information. Love to hear from you, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the summit. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Catherine. Great seeing you in stereo today. You're almost like I jumped out of the screen like that. Well done. I know a lot about this because I've heard it pitched before here in Queensland. So I'm going to hand it over to my colleagues, both Sally Ann and Martin, and ask if they can raise a few questions with you this afternoon.
Awesome.
Sally Ann?
Yeah, sure. Happy to jump in. So thanks for that, Catherine. It's really great to see, I guess, such an ambitious project and to sort of be hearing about it at the stage that you're at. Can you talk me through a little bit about where the IP is in your current project and where some of this stuff might be, you know, licensed or off the shelf? Because I had a bit of a trouble understanding which parts are, and Martin's nodding, so I'm clearly asking the question he wants an answer to too. Which part's the novel part that you're doing? Which part is, you know, solar from somewhere else and water and things like that? That'd be great to just unpack that a little bit more.
Sure. So really good question. And as we've gone through the journey for investment, it comes up a lot. So I think that macro data is probably an anomaly when you look at the other businesses that are involved in this summit and coming into hydrogen as a viable business solution. So we're going to be leveraging a lot of existing technologies to create the energy. So the solar and the hydrogen is not ours. We're looking at the ITM Linde BOC type of a solution. So we'll be capturing hydrogen as well as oxygen, selling that oxygen to lower the total cost of electricity creation. The only actual IP that we have, I actually think it's a pretty big deal, but I think it's got a nice commercial opportunity, is that least cost power side. So the idea is when we're able to capture solar and looking at weather events that might minimize our ability to capture effective solar coming up, and then leveraging battery and increasing the hydrogen capacity in order to make sure that we've got enough backup in our battery solutions as well as in our hydrogen storage so that we can continue to power the data center. What I hadn't talked a lot about is the data center itself is highly available, so we can't have an energy outage. The sites that we've located are connected to the grid, but using the grid as our backup is going to be a very costly solution and might be wrought with peril based off of the fact that we're such a big energy consumer. So we need to make sure that through our logic and our AI that we're doing our best job to have that type of energy available. The mining company that we're talking to, same situation, they're remote, they need to be able to capture and control. They want to lower the total cost of energy, and they're in the process of looking at like a fleet refresh as well as how they're powering other forms of their business. And so this is an opportunity for them to be able to effectively lower their total cost of energy, take control of it and store it on site.
So Catherine, then from what you're saying, the hydrogen component is really to give that long-term storage, is it? To give that long duration ability to supply power to the data center? Is that what am I correct?
Yeah, the hydrogen becomes an amazing storage mechanism. The challenge you have with batteries is that the mean time to failure on those are quite high. And hydrogen is something that in the sites we've chosen, water's not an issue. So we can, as long as we've got excess solar not running the data center, we can produce as much hydrogen as we can store.
Monica, could I just...
Sure, quick.
Catherine, I love the idea of the energy as a service model. It's brilliant. Have you looked at the numbers to see whether that provides any sort of a ceiling on your scalability? Is there a point where that type of model may become a problem?
So we have done modeling, and the short answer, Trevor, is no, that we haven't run into an issue of it being a ceiling for us. But the idea behind our solutions is that they're at the site where that consumption's happening. So the amount of energy that's going to be consumed for these instances is fairly finite. The idea of firming back to the grid is really more for us an add-on, not the core focus of our business. So in that context, no, we haven't run out of it. I could see where another business model could probably find they scale to a point of inefficiency.
Yep, thank you.
Great, excellent. Thank you very much, Catherine Foster, our fifth and final presentation for the startup pitch this afternoon. Thank you to all of you. You've been remarkable. I would like to just poll my fellow judges and just give us a little bit of your thoughts of what you saw this afternoon. Trevor?
Just so impressed with the the innovation, the commitment, and the way that everyone's going about it. What impresses me is that there's a lot of solutions here that are actually having a major impact on making this a better planet for us, but also they are going about it in commercial ways and trying to find those markets, then make it sustainable from that perspective. So congratulations everyone on your presentations. It was really good.
Thank you, Trevor, and thanks for your time. We'll deliberate and come back. Sally Ann?
Yeah, look, I just want to echo that, and also just say for me, it's always fascinating to see where people find problems and where they come up with solutions. And I just have really enjoyed seeing the diversity of problems that have been identified and solutions. You often come to a themed pitch event and you expect to sort of see things go, oh, I'm going to see 4 or 5 things of the same thing. But, you know, it's really good and encouraging, I guess, to see all of these companies can have a role to play in the hydrogen economy. And so I'm really excited to see where you all end up and what's next for you. So thank you for the effort that you've put in.
Thank you, Sally Ann. And Martin?
Yeah, I echo the same sort of comments. I really love the passion and perseverance that I saw from a number of the companies here, and you guys are all solving big global problems, and that's the type of stuff we like to get really excited about. I mean, these are really important things that need to be solved. So yeah, we wish you all the great success.
Here, I totally, that's my feeling as well. We have to do this together. No one wins these competitions on their own in terms of how we're going to get these new industries built. So go on LinkedIn, find all of our connections. If you're on as a participant, you know, think about how can you help these guys find their customers? Are you with a big corporate and you have some innovation budget? You know, come and collaborate with these young, innovative companies that are going to help you lower your operating costs, reduce your carbon dependency, and build a different job framework for Australia. So thank you very much. We'll be back after the final presentation to give you the winners. And once again, thank you. This has been brought to us by the generosity of Providence Group, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Miranda Taylor from NERA will take you out in the last section.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you all the judges for your excellent effort in organizing the pitching competition.